Welcome to part 3 of 50 hard CISSP questions. This is the final stretch and you are ready for it. One quick note before we start. To keep this video crisp, I will not always read the full question and every option out loud. So for each question, pause the video and read the scenario and the 4 options first. Then let me walk you through the thinking. It will make the explanations much easier to follow. The filter that we use for almost every question does not change. That is the whole point. Frame. You are the risk manager, not the technician. Sequence. Scope before you act. Governance before controls. Priority. Life safety. Then evidence. Then systems. And always the root cause. Authority. Act within governance and let the risk owner own the risk. Frame. Sequence. Priority. Authority. The distractors here are especially convincing, so trust the steps over your gut. Let us finish strong. Question 35. Storage traffic has no business being reachable from a general user VLAN, yet workstations can enumerate the storage volumes. The exposure is at the network level, so the fix must be 2. Option B enables CHAP but leaves the routing in place. The storage is still reachable, and CHAP alone is weak. Option C applies volume masking and monitors the VLAN. Masking is bypassable convenience, not real isolation. Option D disables unused portals and schedules segmentation for the next window. That defers the real containment while the door stays open. Option A restricts iSCSI to a dedicated storage segment and blocks user network reachability first, then adds authentication. Remove the reachability first, then layer on the credential. That is the pattern. Question 36. DevOps wants to drop a long-lived cloud key into an environment variable, and every tempting answer just manages that static key a little better. Option A stores the key in a secrets manager and injects it at startup. Still a long-lived, exportable credential. Option B rotates it daily and scopes it read-only. That shrinks the window but keeps a shared secret that can leak. Option C uses least privilege roles in both clouds and audits the key. Still depends on that exported key existing. Option D configures workload identity federation. So the workload trades its verifiable identity for short-lived access, and no standing key exists at all. Eliminate the long-lived secret. Do not just guard it. That is the pattern. Question 37. Some of this access is stable, some of it changes every week. That split points straight at the design. Job function is steady. Clearance, project, and location shift constantly. So a role for every combination is the explosion the question warns about. Option A makes a role for every combination and updates them weekly. That just automates the mess. Option C throws out roles and lets each owner write attribute rules. That trades explosion for ungoverned sprawl. Option D uses clearance roles for models and network location for datasets. That leans on location as a security boundary, which is crude. Option B keeps a small role baseline for the stable functions and applies governed attributes to the dynamic conditions. Roles for what is steady, attributes for what moves. That is the pattern. Question 38. 2 constraints decide this. The CISO wants continuous evidence of control effectiveness, and it must not load the production databases. Point-in-time work fails the first test. Option A uses quarterly pen tests and an annual attestation. Those are snapshots, not a stream. Option D uses monthly questionnaires and annual audits, even more periodic. Option B installs agents that continuously inspect production queries. That does run continuously, but it loads the very systems the constraint protects and reports to operations, not governance. Option C uses provider APIs and external probes for continuous checks, trends the exceptions, and reports risk to governance. Continuous, light on production, and aimed at the people who own the risk. That is the pattern. Question 39. Before you write up a finding, you have to know it is one, and the scenario hands you the key fact. An approved authorization model already defines which admin functions may cross departments. Option B asks how often admins say they need the access. That lets usage masquerade as policy. Option C checks the logs for misuse. That answers a different question, before you have confirmed a deviation exists. Option D weighs whether restricting it would disrupt a workflow. That considers impact before establishing the finding. Option A first determines whether the observed access actually violates the approved model and whether the app enforces it. Compare behavior to the authoritative policy before calling it a flaw. That is the pattern. Question 40. Do the arithmetic the scenario hands you. The recovery point objective is 1 minute, and verified telemetry shows the replica was 45 seconds behind at failure. 45 seconds is inside 1 minute, and the replica is healthy. Option A manually compares journals before promoting, even past the recovery time. That discards the objective you are meant to meet. Option B restores the latest immutable snapshot. That throws away a near current replica for an older point. Option C waits for the failed region to study the final seconds. That abandons the recovery time entirely. Option D authorizes the planned promotion and failover, because the verified replica already meets the objectives. The plan was built for this moment. Execute it. That is the pattern. Question 41. A business unit is asking for aggressive recovery targets that only expensive continuous replication can meet. The committee's job is to test whether the target is justified, not to react to the price. Option A picks cheaper async replication because it will usually approach the target, usually as a gamble on quietly missing the recovery point when it matters. Option B relaxes the objectives to match current capability. That lets the infrastructure define the requirement, which is backwards. Option D buys continuous replication for a cycle, then decides. That spends the money before making the decision. Option C has the business owners validate their quantified loss and impact against the cost of meeting the objectives. Justify the target with real numbers, then decide what to spend. That is the pattern. Question 42. The bind is real. Revoke the administrator's access, and critical nightly maintenance stops. Leave it, and the suspect can tamper with the very logs that will convict them. The winning move protects the evidence without halting operations. Option A suspends the access and postpones maintenance. That protects the logs by breaking the operation you were told you cannot break. Option C adds a second approver, but keeps the suspect's repository access. They can still alter records. Option D exports a snapshot, then allows normal access with monitoring. That lets tampering continue and only watches for it. Option B redirects the events to an independent, append-only destination, and tightly supervises any needed maintenance. Put the evidence beyond the suspect's reach while operations continue. That is the pattern. Quick pause. These questions come from the RooCloud database. You can try a free full-length CISSP adaptive test on RooCloud.com to practice with more questions like these and see the platform for yourself. Question 43. You have a confirmed reachable 0 day. The vulnerable parser is hit through controllable request fields. Replacement is months away, and a vendor-validated rule blocks the exploit today. The immediate move should close the reachable path. Option B restricts egress and kills suspicious child processes. That limits damage after code already runs. A fallback, not a block. Option C moves the service to a tighter segment but keeps the request paths. That leaves the exact path the exploit uses wide open. Option D scans more often. That watches a problem you already understand without stopping it. Option A deploys the validated virtual patch at every ingress point and watches for bypass attempts. Block the confirmed path now with the tool built for it and keep the deeper fixes as backup. That is the pattern. Question 44. The threat is the confused deputy. One tenant tricks the integration into assuming another tenant's role. The question asks for the trust policy control that most directly prevents that crossover. Option A requires multi-factor authentication for human users. That does nothing for machine assumptions, and it does not stop tenant confusion. Option B caps assumed roles with permission boundaries. That limits what a role can do, but not who can assume it. Option C logs assumptions and alerts on odd combinations. That catches the crossover after it happens. Option D restricts the approved principles and requires a tenant-specific external identifier in each role's trust conditions. Bind each role to its tenant so another tenant cannot assume it. That is the pattern. Question 45. The requirement is precise. Administrators must be unable to read the protected fields while the application still processes them. That rules out any control the admin can see through. Option A uses transparent database encryption with non-exportable keys. It still decrypts for anyone querying the database, including those admins. Option B routes admins through jump hosts and alerts on queries. That deters and detects, but never actually blinds them. Option D exposes the data through restricted views and denies admin read. Administrators who control the grants can undo that. Option C encrypts the fields in the application and keeps the decryption authority outside database administration. The plaintext never exists where the admin can reach it. Put the keys beyond the administrator, not just policy in their way. That is the pattern. Question 46. The board wants one number in dollars, but the data is sparse, and a few assumptions swing the answer. So the most defensible view is honest about that uncertainty, not hiding it. Option A gives a single expected loss with detail on request. That projects a precision the data cannot support. Option C uses an industry average adjusted for revenue. That substitutes someone else's experience for the bank's own exposure. Option D picks a maximum credible loss to drive funding. That manipulates the decision instead of informing it. Option B presents a quantified range with a central estimate, the key assumptions, a sensitivity view, and the confidence limits. Give decision makers the real shape of the uncertainty, not a false point. That is the pattern. Question 47. The root problem is stated plainly. One broadly privileged identity means a manipulated prompt can make the agent do almost anything. The strongest control shrinks what a compromised agent can even do. Option A, logs, prompts, responses, and tool calls. Valuable for investigation, but it prevents nothing. Option B isolates the runtime and uses read-only replicas. That helps on reads, while the agent still acts with broad authority everywhere else. Option C filters input and output for malicious instructions. A best effort screen that determined injection slips past. Option D gives each tool least privilege and requires contextual approval for high impact or irreversible actions. Limit the blast radius and gate the dangerous moves, whatever the prompt says. That is the pattern. Question 48. Two pressures point the same way. Privacy officers say intercepting personal banking and healthcare sessions is prohibited, and engineers say decryption is congesting the network. Exempting those sessions relieves both at once. Option B upgrades hardware and keeps inspecting everything. That spends money to keep doing something the privacy officers say is not allowed. Option C sends the sensitive sessions to a restricted enclave. That still decrypts traffic you are barred from touching, just with nicer storage. Option D disables all inspection and leans on endpoints. That overcorrects and surrenders malware visibility everywhere. Option A applies governed bypasses for the legally and ethically sensitive destinations and covers that traffic with endpoint controls. Do not decrypt what you may not decrypt and cover it another way. That is the pattern. Question 49. Line up the requirements. No duplicated user stores. Minimal credential and token exposure on public networks, and accountable identity. With modern browser federation available, Option A syncs shadow accounts and authenticates over VPN. That duplicates the very user stores you were told to avoid. Option B uses SAML with transient identifiers and long-lived assertions. That widens the exposure window and weakens accountability. Option D uses an OAuth implicit flow. That hands tokens to the browser directly. An exposure-prone, deprecated pattern, even with short lifetimes. Option C establishes federated trust with signed, audience-restricted tokens delivered through a secure authorization code flow. Minimal exposure, provable audience, accountable identity, and not a shadow account in sight. That is the pattern. Question 50. 200 microservices, continuous delivery, and services that differ a lot in exposure. So the answer must scale and respect that difference. Option A requires a full review and pen test before every release. Thorough and completely unscalable. It grinds releases to a halt. Option C scans everything and releases when nothing critical appears. That treats every service alike and misses the design flaws scanners never see. Option D runs quarterly tests on a sample and lets teams cover the rest. That leaves long gaps and inconsistent coverage. Option B automates risk-appropriate gates for all services and triggers deeper human testing for the significant high-risk changes. Automated baseline everywhere, human depth where the risk earns it. That is the pattern. That is all 50. Notice the pattern. The best answer almost never grabs the tool first. It frames the role, gets the sequence right, protects what matters most, and acts within authority. Frame, sequence, priority, authority. Train that until it is automatic. And these questions stop feeling scary. These questions come from the RooCloud database. You can try a free full-length CISSP adaptive test on RooCloud.com to practice with more questions like these and explore the platform. You have got this. Good luck with your CISSP,